Don't run up too fast. This is for backhand, forehand, and even reaching back in the putt. Don't rush it. It's only hurting you. And here's why. You should be able to get 90% or more of your maximum velocity from just a one-step run-up. This is because the main power drivers, the main things, the main movers, whatever you want to say, for power are things that are not in the first few steps of your run-up. So you can have a fast run-up, but it's often going to put out a lot of the things that are actually important in the throw. And what you need to be focusing on is slowing down so that then you can have maximum amount of acceleration, you can have maximum use of things that actually give you power. So the reason why one step run up gives you almost all the power you can actually get is because the power comes from this left leg driving in and these shoulders and these arms driving round, and this left leg connected to the pelvis. So when you're in this one step, you've got all of the things that actually create this power from just that one step run up, which is why you see, thank you to Chris Taylor for his video with Eunice Morella of Anthony Barella and Christian Coxer, both throwing over 80 miles per hour with just a one step run up. Now, if you can't throw about 90% or more of your maximum velocity doing a one step drill, then you're probably doing something wrong. You should focus on maybe drilling your legs so that you can drill actually rotating your pelvis. And because if you think you're rotating your pelvis with your legs, you're rotating your trunk, then that's connected to your upper body. And if you can, let's say, twice in the speed of that, then you're going to be drastically improving how much power you're able to generate. So when I talk about the main things that generate power in the disc golf throw, having this left leg driving in is one of the major ones, because if you watch, it's conducive to the whole of the rest of my upper body. And so it's super, super important. That's where most of the power comes from. People that have the top amount of power in the world all have very similar legs because they utilize their legs most effectively. It's the basis for absolutely everything. Your leg needs to be in the correct position. And if you're moving too fast, then it makes it much more difficult for you to time it correctly. So your timing is more difficult and it's probably going to throw other things off. And another thing is, as it's moving quicker, not only is the timing going to be off, but actually having your leg in the correct place, the positioning is probably going to be slightly off. Because if you think, if I was to, let's say, pull my putter back really, really slowly, I can hit the same point every time. If I pull up fast, I have way less hand-eye coordination, let's say, but I have way less consistency in this. So you're going to have a much more consistent back leg. And then another thing is, when you rush too fast into this, let's say, planting my left foot, like if I'm running up too fast and then I'm throwing instead of running up nice and slowly and able to accelerate off this back leg, as I'm running too fast, I haven't got as much acceleration, and I'll often actually just have the left leg, or this is the same for upper body, it will become inactive because it's not able to get in these right positions. As I'm moving too fast, then let's say I might not get low enough and be able to have as much potential energy to accelerate into the throw. Or if I'm upper body, I'm jerking backwards, all of the reasons I've just mentioned, but then I might overextend because all of this energy is going to the back, when actually it should be coming from the back position slowly to the reach back, or the position with the legs that's in the reach back. And then it needs to have that super slow so that it can be in the right position, so that then it can explode. That's what gives you the power, because it doesn't matter about how much you go back, it's about how much you can be in the right position, and then you can come forward and accelerate. And if you're not in the right position, then you're screwing yourself over. And if you're putting yourselves in the right position, then you can utilize yourself much more effectively, because once you're in the right position, you can then start to accelerate, and you don't need to worry about the timing nearly as much because you're already in the right position. I throw some of my fastest throws when I'm throwing with the slowest run up. People always talk about like Cole Radalin and people who they just don't seem to be throwing, like he just throws up so smooth, so slowly. When if you try it, the more you can throw super smooth and slowly until you get to this position where your arms are all in this peak reach back, your legs in this backwards position, then the explosion comes in. And you don't need all of this previous acceleration. There's an argument to be made though that if you were to run up really fast and then you were to slow down completely, I guess in a 360 you could do that kind of midair and just super slow down so you know you're in the complete correct positions. Then you've got that linear momentum. So you as an object is moving, let's say you're moving at 10 miles an hour that way. And then if you were able to be in that position where you're moving 10 miles an hour that way, and then you're able to slow down because you have to slow down enough to get into the correct positions to then explode, then you would throw your normal amount plus, let's say, that 10 miles per hour. So that's a good point, and I have to have a little think about it. But I think overall, in terms of in a tournament, let's say, that would never ever be the case, and so it wouldn't ever come into play. So you need to focus on getting literally your run up as slow as possible. I started going in my putt to go slightly forwards and then come down, just so as a kind of mental cue, so that I come down at this super slow position, because when I do that, I get into the correct positions and I putt way better. It's the same as the backhand. When I'm super slow, I'm controlled, I'm measured, I'm gonna hit the right place more often and more consistent. And it's all up until then you can fluidly accelerate and explode and get into that position. You just can't earlier on go too fast. And you've got to remember that when you are slowing down, you shouldn't get sluggish. You should stay really athletic, stay on your toes, stay bouncy. And otherwise, like, that's something that could easily happen if you do slow down, because obviously you could have a tendency to then get flat-footed, whatever. So you've got to stay, you're like your normal self, but just slow breaths and know what you're going to do beforehand.